out here, but I haven't heard anything back on that yet. So maybe by next week we'll get something going on.
We could open the window too.
No, Chelsea's freezing already back there, so she doesn't want to get any colder.
So can we get one like the local establishments to fill us in?
Yeah, we'll have to get a sponsorship on all that. So anyway, we got a special guest here on Rewind this morning, along with Sports Director Jeff Blankman, Jeff Honnold. I'm John Ryan. Terry Kasperbauer, of course, you might know him as the longtime assistant basketball coach and coach for pretty much every single sport at Carroll High, right, Terry?
There's been a few of them, yeah.
Is there a sport you didn't coach there?
Well, I was a head assistant baseball, basketball, and football at one time. So
okay,
but I haven't coached track, but I help out all the track.
You ever coached frisbee golf or anything like that?
No.
Golf, soccer, and tennis, maybe the only ones that you haven't had a hand on?
I haven't had a chance to do that. Maybe ran out of time someplace in there.
But you're in here this morning because your team, when you were at college, 1976 team at Dakota State College, which is in Madison, South Dakota. I know it well. I had two brothers and a sister that both graduated from that college. You were part of the football program there, and of course, individually, you were put in the Hall of Fame about 8 years ago, but you went in as a team this last Saturday. How special was that?
That was very special. Obviously, 43 years later, stories get better. It's amazing how good we really were. Even, we obviously had been good to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. And as one of the captains, it was really nice because I got to be a part of something special with guys you had a lot of fun with a long time ago.
Yeah, when you think back, when you got together, was it just like time just didn't happen?
That's right. It's amazing. We talk about it, too. When we get together, feels like we just were together yesterday. We did have 3 years ago, we were honored at halftime of the homecoming game, and some of the guys were back for that. So I had seen some of them 3 years ago, but there are a lot of them. It's been maybe 43 years since I'd seen them. So.
Really? So you didn't stay in contact with all of them, a few of them?
Kept in contact, but we didn't always see each other. Schedules don't work out, families, kids have something going on. So we had about, I think, between 25 and 30 guys came back for it, so it was pretty nice.
What's the first thing you guys talk about when you get together?
Stories about...
Can we tell the stories on the air?
Well, yeah.
See, he's thinking of an answer now.
Veteran broadcaster there.
Yeah. So when I went up there, it was actually we have individuals that also get inducted, and we had three captains my senior year. Two of us had already been inducted individually to the Hall of Fame. The third one was getting inducted this last weekend also, and he asked the two of us to introduce him. So we got to tell stories as we're introducing him. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite stories about him is he came from Baltic, South Dakota. Now, if you know where Baltic, South Dakota is, about 30 miles from Madison. And I made a comment that he proved what a scholar athlete he was by recruiting him because he finished in the top 20 of his class at Baltic. But then you had to realize there were only 18 in his class of 1973. So that was fun to give him a little hard time. And then as a team, there's so many stories, but the one the captains thought we were also going to speak for the team when that got introduced, but for whatever reason, the AD decided to bypass that. So I had a speech ready for the team also. And the one story I was going to tell is our first game we're in Orange City playing Northwestern, who, was then and still is a football power in NAIA. And we go down there, and we're feeling pretty confident that we're going to be fairly good, but there were only two seniors on the team, myself and one of the running backs. And so we come out of the huddle very first play of the game. So we have a senior and a freshman in the backfield behind me. And by this time, because I've been the quarterback for 3.5 years, I've got the ability to, coach has got enough confidence in me, said, we've got an audibleized system. Back in the 70s, that was...
Yeah,
absolutely.
So we come out the first play, and of course, Northwestern, everybody knows the senior's going to get the football, so I'm thinking I'm going to show everybody I'm going to audibilize. And so I audible into a play where I fake to the senior and give to the freshman, not realizing the freshman's just nervous as all get out. And he said later, I don't even remember feeling the ball or anything in my hand. Of course, he fumbles. I don't even think he got hit. He was just so nervous. He fumbles, and they recover at our 12-yard line. Very first play of the season. Well, fortunately, the defense held. We go on and beat them, and that kind of set the tone for the rest of the year. We overcome that first down of the season fumble, and we go on and beat them.
Now, when is the next time the freshmen touch the ball after that?
We waited a few series before we got it. But,
I was going to say, did you get a chance to audible the rest of that game?
Yeah, yeah. And so I publicly apologized to him Saturday because he did come back. And ironically, both of those backs were from Randolph, Massachusetts.
Really?
Went to the same high school. They were
Really?
3 years apart and hardly knew each other because it was a big high school. But they came from Randolph, and but he ended up being a pretty good player himself by the time he was a junior and senior.
Now, how did you wind up at Dakota State? Because, I mean, obviously you graduated here in Carroll. Kemper, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What year was that? That was
73.
73?
A fellow by the name of Joel Swisher, and if you're in South Dakota in the 70s, that was a big name. His dad, Clark Swisher, was a big name in South Dakota. In fact, the football field up at Aberdeen Northern State College is named after Clark Swisher. Well, Joel Swisher was about a 30-year-old first-time head coach. He just gotten the job. It was his first year, and he was recruiting like crazy. And I can still remember him coming several times to my house down on Whitney Street and sitting around the table. We had, at that time, 9 kids.
I was going to say, you went with the whole army of Kasperbauer kids.
Yeah, and
on
just actually fitting right in like he was one of the kids, and then showing up in the spring at a track meet in Sac City. So I thought, you know what, this guy must want me pretty bad. And found out years later, Dan Bach was the head football coach, and Dan told me years later that the two of them had been in touch a lot during that time, which I didn't know. And he was the only person I knew when I got to Madison, South Dakota, obviously, was Joel Swisher. In fact, first time I was in Madison, South Dakota was the day before our first football practice. I had never even visited the campus.
You'd never even looked at the campus.
I was like, you know what, that's far enough away. I don't want to go where everybody's going. You know, at that time, everybody was going to BV or Iowa State, you know, like they are now. It's like, I want to go somewhere where I'm just kind of unknown.
Yeah, that is very cool. It's a little unlike recruiting these days.
No, it really is, yeah.
You weren't getting constant daily messages and things like that.
You know, we didn't go on, I made a couple of trips to other places, but it wasn't like it is now where you got the official visits and all that goes on with it.
So did he only recruit you out of the family, or was he trying to recruit some of the brothers too?
You know what? I don't know how many. I'm the oldest of 10, and then 5 girls came after me.
Okay.
So by the time the next boy came, I was
long
gone. So the bottom 4 are boys. So
let's talk about that 76 team. You guys put up some huge numbers. I mean, you had, what was it, 2 games with 5 touchdowns?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking 1976, offenses were not that wide open then.
No, we weren't.
It was 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
We ran the Delaware wing tee, which
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. Ironically, when I came back to Carroll and coached under Terry Ballman, he ran a very similar offense, but we ran the slot tee. So it was basically, it was amazing because it's a lot of the same plays out of it.
So you knew it forward and backwards.
It was really weird that. I think one of the assistant coaches 8 years ago when I went into the Hall of Fame said it best, said he wasn't the fastest and he didn't have the strongest arm, but I knew the plays and I knew how to throw the ball so that guys could catch it. So play action passing was a lot of it. If I had to drop back and pass, I wasn't going to throw it 60 yards like kids could today.
What do you think made this team so special?
I think when the head coach put in there the cohesiveness of it and the leadership, we had myself and 2 other senior captains that for whatever reason, the rest of the players really bonded around us and I think the fact that the 2 of us on offense had been starters for this was our 4th year. The kids understood that we'd been around and respected what we had to bring to the team and to the field and what we had to say too.
So you guys, I mean, literally with this team, like I said, you walked onto campus, you had practice the next day. You had never been there before. You didn't know anybody you were going to be playing with. How long did it take you guys to actually bond, or were you just like all thrown in the same situation?
Back then, there were 3 days, so you had a lot of time to bond.
3 a day.
3 a days, yes.
And how much of that was film?
None.
None.
That was all on the field. Film sessions were, other than after the game, we didn't watch hardly any film back then. You know, you didn't have huddle, you didn't have any of that, anything now like you have now that you can go watch it on. And so it was football. And I can still remember I couldn't wait till I got to be a junior and senior and I could do this, but 5:45, 6 o'clock every morning, they had captains or somebody coming around with bells and all kinds of gadgets to get everybody out of bed. And you'd come in sleepy-eyed, go to breakfast and go to practice, and then you'd practice till 10:30, and you go eat lunch and maybe grab a quick nap, and you're back out there again at 1 or 1:30, a couple hours, and go supper, and then you're back out again at 6.
Wow.
And then you got the playbook. You know, as a freshman especially, I can remember in 1973, I was just, every time that I was either, if I wasn't at practice or sleeping, I didn't take many naps because it was like, I need to get this playbook. When I went in, there were 5 quarterbacks my freshman year.
And how soon before you gained playing time?
Oh, I got here and there, but about the 5th game of the season, starting quarterback had been struggling, and we were out. I still remember we were out at in Rapid City, South Dakota, playing South Dakota Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And we were down at halftime, and the coach made a change at halftime. And fortunately, we came back and won a high-scoring affair and kept me in, and I had the rest of my time up there.
You talked about there's only 3 seniors by the time you were finished. I'm assuming you had a bigger freshman class than that, and it just whittled down. That was Coach's first. Was that his first class then coming in?
Yeah, I think we actually had 3 captains, but 6 seniors my senior year. But we started out, I believe we kind of thought we had between 45 and 50 freshmen that came in. We had close to 100 kids that first fall camp, and with 3 days you weed them out pretty fast. I mean, I told you we had 5 quarterbacks, and after we went through the first sessions of throwing and all that, I'm thinking I might be 5th team right now because some of these guys, you know, we had a kid, a left-handed quarterback, and still seeing him throw, and he threw so hard. I can still remember receivers, ball going through their hands and sticking right to their face mask because he just threw it so hard. And a split end that was at the reunion, who was a freshman when I was a senior, said he remembers telling the other receivers how my passes were the easiest ones to catch. I just had a way of being able to pass. That's because I couldn't throw it 100 miles an hour like that. That's why.
You threw the changeup. He threw the fastball.
Yeah.
What was that when you think back at that season? What was the big moment, the big win that you guys had, the signature win?
Well, the Northwestern one was pretty big, but then conference-wise, we played Huron about the 3rd or 4th game of the year, and we were both ranked in the top 15, and we held on and beat them. And then we got to the end of the season, and our last game of the year, we got to go to Wayne, Nebraska, to play Wayne State, who's Division II now NCAA. Back then, they were Division III. And the year before, they had just put a whooping on us at our homecoming. Like, it was 45-14. And I swear it was 45-7. I don't remember how we got to 14. But anyway, so we're getting ready to play at Wayne State, and they have a couple All-American defensive ends, and they have a defense that shifts, and you never know what defense they're going to come out with. So our head coach, who was also the offensive coordinator, a great offensive mind. Still, today, I consider him one of maybe the first or second, one of the top 2 or 3 smartest coaches I've ever been around. He comes up with a plan that we're going to call every play at the line of scrimmage. You know, and today now nobody huddles, and so that's common. Right. But back then, everybody huddled. You had a play call, and you came up. So all I did in the huddle is I gave the formation. I mean, and they even changed up our formation. But I would call what strong side we were going to play, what formation we were going to have, and then when I got to the line, I had a choice of 3, 4, 5 different plays I could call based on what Wayne State defense was. And so we called every play at the line. I think back to the very first play of the season when I got the audible one time and we fumbled it. So now we're calling now 10th game, we're calling every play at the line, and it ended up, we beat Wayne State 24-14, which it vaulted us. It put us in the top 10 in the final poll.
I would say because in '76 that had to be very cutting edge kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not many people had to be doing that.
That's what I say. He was ahead of his time. He'd have been a heck of a coach. Now, unfortunately, he had a heart attack back in 2000 and died at I think he was only like 52, 53 years old.
Terry, what was it like, the emotion of going through the ceremony this past weekend? Or does it still feel pretty special?
Yeah, it does. And it was nice that got to induct another one of our players. And then one of the other players was a sophomore on that team that got inducted. And then just to see everybody. And the unbelievable thing is there are still a couple people that live in Madison that never left. One played football, and the other 2 that we always get together with played baseball. They didn't play football, but they host parties for all of us. And one was a senior when I was a freshman, so he wasn't even around when most of these guys were on the football team. But he still, it's a close, smaller. It was a smaller school at the time, and everybody. It's a really close knit feeling, and we stay in touch. You know, the two kids from Randolph, Massachusetts, I stay in touch with. I still consider the senior, especially, one of my best friends. We talk. In fact, we were texting this morning before I even came out here, talking about if we're going to come back for homecoming in September, because it's always such a great time.
And I remember talking to Floyd Foreman from Manning a couple of years ago, and Floyd, not a big guy. I think he was talking about the difference. When he played college football, I think he said he was a lineman.
Yeah.
I mean, Floyd, a lineman, first of all. And, he talked about they didn't really throw weights too much or lift weights at all, and you guys probably the same deal.
Yeah. In fact, the kid that got inducted this weekend, he came out of Baltic as a quarterback and said the first practice he's playing offensive tackle. And then his senior year, he started at linebacker, 180 pounds.
Yeah.
180-pound linebacker.
It's the size and the speed of the game, I think, has just been amazing.
It's crazy.
But anyway, a lot of fun. Do you guys have film from back then? Did you get together and watch any of that?
No, we didn't. It's funny because a few years ago, my freshman year, our team also got inducted to the Hall of Fame, and somebody did have film from that year, but nobody had film from this year. What we did have is one of the assistant coaches on that team came back, and he had kept a binder of information, and he gave me a letter that I supposedly, evidently, wrote to all the players before the season started as the captain, telling them, get ready, blah, blah, blah. And I have no recollection of doing this, writing this letter.
Really some good Newt Rockney stuff.
Yeah, and we always have a great time, and it's always fun, but I can tell you this, that recovery time does take longer now than it did. Every time we go back, it's a good thing you didn't have me yesterday. I don't know how alert I would have been.
Exactly. Well, congratulations on that. It had to be a lot of fun catching up with everybody, and we love hearing the stories.
Yeah,
so.
Thanks. I appreciate you guys having me in.
I know you're going to New York. Be careful and watch out for those line drive foul balls.
No kidding, yeah. Thanks.
Terry Kasperbauer joining us here this morning on KCIM Sports Rewind. We're back with more coming up.
As the athletes... Licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
This summer, it's all about gas and go. 1380 KCIM is all about the road trip with a Gas and Go giveaway. We've got tickets to some of Iowa's hottest attractions, events, and concerts, including the River Ruckus, Iowa State Fair, and tickets to the Iowa State game. Plus, you'll win gas cards to get you there and back. What a deal. Gas and Go. And to win, all you have to do is register every time you're at one of our exclusive Gas and Go destinations. No hassles, no worries. Free tickets and free gas. Visit 1380KCIM.com for complete giveaway details and our exclusive Gas and Go destinations. It's your green light to summer fun all across the state. So gas and go with 1380 KCIM. Oh, and don't forget,
fasten your seatbelt.
It is KCIM Sports Rewind. Our thanks to Terry Kasperbauer, longtime assistant coach and baseball. I mean, you name it, every sport at Carroll High. The man was Carroll High sports for a long time.
One of the best coaches I've ever been around. I mean, it doesn't matter what sport. He had the knowledge and had the skill set to make it work.
And he has a way, I think, of getting it to the kids so that they understand it and helping develop them into the players that they become.
Well, he talked about how he took a lot from the coach that he was with, and you could see that in him. He didn't jam a system down somebody. He took what the skill set was of the kid, worked with it. They didn't have to be the strongest or the fastest. He took what they had and tried to make them better with that.
Mm-hmm. I love hearing the old-time stories, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't have to know the team, but the stories are awesome.
Absolutely.
Should have asked him if they were still wearing leather helmets back then.
We talked about the guy throwing the passes and sticking in the face mask, so at least we know they had it back then. So we got to wrap up girls golf and soccer. It kind of came to a quicker conclusion with soccer than we wanted to, but golf made it to the state tournaments, and a little iffy weather going on. Last time we talked to you, Jeff, you were hiding under a tree. We were thinking.
Yeah.
We're doing the lightning dance.
Yeah, I even jumped a creek while I was on the phone with you guys.
Oh, yeah, that's
that
right.
Morning.
Yeah.
But it was a crazy.
Most of the time we jump the shark here on this show, not the creek.
Boy, if that's not.
I tell you what, you tip your cap to the girls from Carroll and ICAM Manning, and also Katie Schweers from Kemper of just having to play through what they had to play through last Tuesday and Wednesday. Wednesday, a much better day and stuff. At least they were able to get those events in and get them completed, unlike the boys who had to wipe the second day off. But really good showing, I thought, for the Carroll girls. They finished up in 8th place overall. They were in 5th after day one, or most of day one. But I thought golfed really well. Laura Sweeney finished 18th overall. That Otter Creek course it's hilly. It's
brutal.
It's a brutal course. It is. It's hilly. There's not a lot of trees on it. But
where's it at again?
It's in Ankeny. It's right off of Interstate 35.
It's kind of a link style course. You got a lot of tall fescues, and it's a ball eater.
Yeah, and if you don't hit it straight, you're in some trouble. And I thought they played well over those 2 days. Still a young group, so they're going to be talented in the future. Katie Schweers had a really good job. She finished 20th for Kemper up at the Ames Golf and Country Club. I knew there was creeks up there that I was jumping over, and streams that weren't supposed to be there on Tuesday. Saw pictures on Wednesday. Even though the sun was out, there were still rivers running through the course. So she did a great job just battling those 2 days on her own. And then Cam Manning ended up finishing 10th in Class 1A over at Marshalltown. That, too, is not an easy course. It's fairly long. There's a lot of water in the course, and it was really drenched from the week before. So that was just a tough course to play. If you look at the scores that were put up by the teams over there at that American Legion course in Marshalltown, as a whole, the scores were much higher than they were anywhere else at any of the other tournaments. And I think a lot of that had to do with just the condition of the course and how tough it was to play.
So that kind of wrapped stuff up with the golf of Kemper girls. Do we get them?
Yeah, it's Katie Schweers. Yep. We'll wrap up soccer here real quick. All three of the girls' team seasons came to an end last week. Carroll fell to Denison Schleswig 6-1. A young team that started playing better, I think, as the season went on, and really, I think there's some good things in the future for the Carroll girls. The ESAC girls' first year with the program, playing at the high school level. They were a club, and they had played with the boys in years past, so this is the first year playing by themselves. They lost to a Gilbert team that was ranked at number 1.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
just not a fair draw going on there.
Absolutely. And then Kemper, you look at the score, they gave up 2 penalty kick goals of their own, ended up losing 4-1 to Gilbert. That was a really tight match all the way through. They played really, really well. I know Coach Massey was really pleased with the effort. The girls were really disappointed. If they'd have gotten a win there, and it was going to be hard with Gilbert being number 1, but if they'd have gotten a win there, they'd have had a chance to probably playing at the state girls soccer meet. But, great season for them, and just an outstanding effort. They went over there not intimidated at all to play Gilbert, and that's always a good thing. And then we'll wind up with girls state tennis. That was last Wednesday. I did survive stepping out of a vehicle in Iowa City. I was worried that
when your foot hit the ground, it didn't burn even a little bit? Okay.
No, and I did have to stand amongst the Hawkeye Tennis Center with all the, all the Hawkeye emblems everywhere. It was not an easy. I was not the only one. There was a lot of Iowa State fans over there that you could see the smoke rising off of them as well.
We were hoping you'd soak a little of that in and maybe cure you a little bit.
But Isabel Schwabi, a tough break for her. She had to play Sophie Walker out of Red Oak in the first round. Them two have seen each other a lot. Ended up losing that first one 6-2, 6-2, though. All of the points were deuce, add in, add out. I mean, they were long points. In fact, one of the Red Oak guys that was there, he officiates basketball and stuff like that. So I've seen him over the years, and we were talking, and he's like, "Are you broadcasting this today?" And I says, "No." He goes, "I was wondering." He says, "Because as long as these points are, you could go for lunch and only miss 1 point, and stuff." So, but she ended up losing that. Don't want to say that she got totally robbed in her first round consolation, but they don't have officials. They don't have line judges at the girls' state tennis tournament. So it's up to the players to call in or out. The young lady she lost to in the second set, or in the second match of the day, didn't see real well, I don't think, in the first set. There were several balls that were right in front of where I was standing that were in by 6-8 inches that were called out. I think it got Izzy a little bit maybe off of her game mentally because she knew they were in. It was frustrating to her. I tip my cap to her because she never retaliated by, trying to do the same thing. They did end up getting a judge over to watch the second match, an official over there to kind of watch the second match. It sounded like in that second match that there was a few times that she went out. Oh, no, excuse me, that one was in because she was still doing the same thing. But Izzy ended up losing that first-round consolation match, which ended her season. And then the doubles teams of Samantha Shorty and Abby Bass had to take on a Waverly Shell Rock team that was really good in the opening round. I think they were the 3 seed. Ended up losing that. Bounced back, though, to win the first-round consolation matchup against a team from Fairfield, and then ended up losing in the second round of the consolations to a team from Davenport Assumption. So their season came to an end on Wednesday as well. But one quick note, one of the young ladies from Fairfield in that second match, she's 13 years old, a freshman. She's really, really small. I tell you what, there's a really bright future for that young lady. A lot of people over there were talking about when she probably starts to become a singles player in the future, she might be one of those kids that ends up winning a state championship or two. So that was a good win by Abby and Samantha to be able to get past her in the second round.
Yeah, there's some skill there, definitely.
Absolutely.
As soon as they mature that. But, yeah, that is a tough way to end it. But, you know, if you're going to end it, I talked to Bruce, Abby's dad. No, I was saying, if you're going to end it, man, that's everybody's goal is to end it at the state tournament. So that's where they did. Congratulations to them.
And nerves might have got them a little bit in that first match the other day.
Possibly.
Yep.
All right, we're going to talk a little baseball, softball, and a little something that Jeff Blankman's going to be doing here coming up at the end of this week. That's on the way.
As the athletes at your house.
Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. You need to slow down, slow down. You need to slow.
Athletes will be under the direct supervision of a certified and licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
KCIM Sports Rewind. Sports Director Jeff Blankman, Jeff Honnold, John Ryan along with you here this morning.
I'm not comfortable when they're back there giggling.
Well, especially when I hear it's Stacy Belcock, so we must have gotten a comment from Stacy.
Go Hawks. He made sure he tagged you.
I'm not surprised in that.
Boy, Stace.
Well, he's just got a lot of time to comment. So
Yeah.
I did have a lady last night tell me that she enjoys listening to this show every Tuesday.
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
I was about ready to call 911 and get her called off. But,
Well, tell your mom thanks for
it
that.
wasn't my mom. My mom wouldn't listen. Are you crazy?
We got to talk about baseball, softball. Let's quickly hit on that, and then we're going to talk about what you're doing on this weekend.
Just wanted to throw out some kids had some home runs last night. Lexi Branning from IKEA Manning had a solo shot. Kenzie Schoen at Kemper had a solo home run last night. Carol Wilkin didn't hit a home run for ESAC, but threw a no-hitter through 3 innings in their 12-0 victory at Pokey last night. Jalen Rosenbeck from Coon Rapids Bayard also had a home run in their win over at Booyer Valley last night. So congratulations to those players. Got some teams really playing pretty well right now. I'm interested in the Carroll and South Central Calhoun softball matchup. I really like this Carroll team right now. And South Central Calhoun, a much improved team than what they've been in the past. Got a group of young girls that really like softball and play it during the off season, and they're certainly playing better right now. So it's going to be kind of an interesting matchup to see where both of them are at coming.
If you can get that good
season.
young core going, you've got a solid program for years.
Absolutely.
in softball,
When you're
especially.
just starting to get into that injury bug, too. So, it's starting to get to where teams are slipping a little bit. I think we had one last night at Kemper. And so that also throws a wrinkle into everything.
Yeah, the young kids are where it's at, because as we talked last week with Randy Snyder, he said he's only got 2 seniors out this year. Everybody else is like freshmen on the team. So you're just dealing with very young players, and as soon as if you can get that young core to stay together, you got something special.
Yeah, I was up at the CYO the other day and was looking through the rosters, and I was talking with Coach Borman, and we were kind of surprised that one of the teams up there actually had 6 seniors on the team.
Wow.
Most of the softball and baseball teams today, if you can get 2 or 3 to hang on through that senior year, you feel pretty lucky. It's sad that it's gotten to that point. It really is, but that's the way it is today.
If you can fill out that lineup card and half are seniors,
You're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, you got a great thing going there.
Yep.
Now, coming up this Friday, Saturday, is it?
Yep, Friday, Saturday, and then the Sunday morning.
You're off with Relay Iowa.
Yep.
And I saw a guy wearing a T-shirt this the other day, and it reminded me, that you're coming up this weekend. Remind us what you're doing and who you're going to be doing this with.
It's a fundraiser. It's a charity. So we all pay money to be able to do this, and then you can go out and raise funds as well for the charity. We run from Sioux City to Dubuque in about pretty much 48 hours. You take off.
Straight through.
Yeah. Somebody's got to be running at all times. You have teams of 12. That's the biggest you can have is 12 people on a team. We leave Sioux City. There's different start times for all the different teams. To be honest with you, I don't even know what our start time is.
You might want to find that out.
We'll find that out probably Thursday night when we have our final team meeting. But we run, I think it's the Floyd Monument there in Sioux City that we take off from. We'll run from Sioux City. We'll cut down through Anthenoto, down through Ida Grove and Otabud Arthur and through Lake City and Lakeview. And then we cut pretty much across the state on 175. When we get over to eastern Iowa, I think it's around Independence or somewhere in that area, we cut back up north onto Old 20, and we end at the river in Dubuque on Sunday morning. Usually takes our group right around 48 hours or a little less. Generally, the group I run with is one of the faster groups. There's a group out of Lytton, too, that's got guys like Spencer Moon and all those guys. They're probably one of the
legs.
Yeah, they're probably one of the 2 fastest teams that does this most years.
And what leg is Coach Case running this year?
Coach Case, who established the team 6 years ago, is not running this year.
Oh,
he
yeah,
has
that's
retired.
right.
I will be in.
You're getting old, Case.
I will be joining him in retirement after this year. I even joked with him at state track. I told him, I says, give me a week or so after we do this. But I said, him and I are going to go out and eat and drink whatever we want.
and he said he's already been doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's on me.
How many miles does each person have to run?
Each person will run probably, you have to run about 30, pretty much 30 miles. You don't do 30 miles at one time. You can go run a mile and a half or 2 or 3. Nobody really runs over 3 in one segment, but you run anywhere from 2 to 3 miles. And then, the tough thing is you sleep in ditches, you sleep in park benches or on the ground in a park. You just kind of find a place to sleep. You throw out a sleeping bag, and that's
sounds
where you
like
sleep.
college.
Yeah, it is pretty much. Yeah. So, but it's a lot of fun. It's really hard on the body. There will be guys in our group that want to run 40 or 50 miles, so they'll run extra miles and stuff. I'm not that crazy. I'm hoping to get between 30 and 35 this year and then retire gracefully.
Well, bring some pictures back for next Rewind.
I will do.
All right.
Jeff Blankman, Jeff Honnold joining us. That's KCIM Sports Rewind.
When you